Bir dakika. Okay. Hello, dear friends. Today we are talking with Mete. Mete is my friend's son. He lives in Canada, and now uh, he will explain why he's in Canada. He wants to study medicine in Canada. Hello, Mete. How are you?
Good. How about you? I'm great.
Doing great, doing great. Uh, Please, can you introduce yourself and then why are you in Canada? And okay,
Yeah. So my name is Metahan. I am an senior high school student in Canada, and I came to Canada 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And I came here because I had known English very well before I came to Canada, and I didn't want it to go to waste. I wanted to be able to speak the English that I learned throughout the way. So that's why I'm in Canada. And now I am finishing up high school. I'm going into university, and yeah.
uh, why did you choose being a medical doctor, physician in Canada?
I didn't necessarily choose it to be in Canada. I wanted it to be a physician back in Turkey too. I just happened to end up in Canada, and I still wanted to pursue what I wanted back then. Plus, I think the education system overall here is better than what we have back home. So I was also aware of that as well. Um, yeah, it's very different than the Turkish system that we're used to. It's very open, it's very free, it's very honoring of what you think, how you express yourself, what you want to do, um, which I get into that as well.
How many years does it take to study medicine in Canada?
So for you to be studying medicine in Canada, you have to finish your high school, of course. And then you have to do a 4 years of bachelor's degree, which is an undergraduate degree in a credited university. And after that, most likely it should be about something biological or something chemistry or something, physics has to be scientific. And then second or third year, you have to complete a test called Medical College Admissions Test. It's also known as MCAT. So you have to complete that test. It's a very intense, almost 7 hour test that you have to pass. It has all the parts of biology, chemistry that is needed as basics in medical school. You're usually supposed to complete that test second year of university. And after you complete that, you start applying to medical schools. Um, and you go to interviews if they accept you, and all that. It's a very long process. It's very competitive. A lot of people are trying to do that, of course. Um, and if you get into med school's 4 years. After you finish your med school and get your medical school diploma, you have to do something called residency, almost like intern doctors in Turkey. Um, but here it can range from 2 to 7 years. Um, it's the doctor's office that you're appointed to is the one that decides if you're ready to be practicing doctor or not. So that can last from 2 to 7 years. It changes. And after that, if you want to specialize, then you'll go back to school and specialize in
Uh,
anything.
go on, go on, please.
Yeah, in I don't know, plastic surgery or whatever you want to do. Um, yeah, that's how it works.
Today, I googled on internet. I saw there are 17 medical faculty in Canada, but in Turkey is more than 17 medical faculty in Turkey.
Right. So I live in Ontario. And where I live, the city is called Windsor, and the closest that medical school that is in my periphery is 2.5 hours away from me. It's not everywhere. Same as universities, like not universities that are not everywhere, and they're more competitive to get into some programs,
Mhm.
which is what
Uh,
makes it good.
yeah. Can a foreigner study medicine in Canada?
No, if you do not have any type of status in Canada and you're just coming as an international student, you cannot study medicine as of now. Or if you don't have a high school diploma in Canada or any kind of diploma in Canada, you can't. Um, Especially in March, they changed their immigration policies quite a bit, and they made it clear that they don't want any more students in Canada. They put a limit to that, and they made sure that people are going to go back home and they're not coming back. And it is favoring students that were here, and it is very disabling students that want to come here, the new policies.
But as you know, for example, my son goes to American college. He has international baccalaureate IB diploma. So, for example, uh, for him, can he study in Canada medicine or
Not in Canada, no. But I know that US will accept it, and US is still open to all the immigration policies, especially with the current government that's over there. They're still very open to immigration. Um, yeah.
do you know how? My question: how much does it cost to study medicine in Canada? Do you have any opinion?
So I know that it is costing a lot of money to study in Canada in general. I am speaking of experience. Um, so university, let me start with high school. High school, so the public board that I'm in is $14,500 per semester, per year for tuition. So, and then of course living costs on top of that. That can be, if you're renting, that can be rent, and that can be, stuff that you're paying for. That can be internet, that can be your phone plan. There's a lot of things attached to it. It's like you're living somewhere.
Yeah.
And the cost goes higher and higher as you move on your way. So for me in university, I am still considered an international student, but I have the perks of having a Canadian driver's license, having a Canadian, my English counts as my first language, and
Yeah.
I have all that. I have a little bit of, at least a little bit of French that I know, and all that. And then for a Canadian citizen, there's no free education in Canada. Canadian citizens have to pay for education as well. But if you're an international student, you usually pay around $16,000 per semester. So it's usually $32,000 per year. That's how the Canadian system works. For med school, it's $27,000, but this is considering that you're not considered an international student anymore. So that is, you're paying at least $100,000 to complete your medical school studies.
Okay. Is it difficult to study medicine in Canada?
It's difficult to get in, but I think once you get in, it's if you know the language, if you know the language well, and if you can adapt to Canada, I think it's okay.
Okay. What's the age limit for medical studies in Canada?
I don't think there is an age limit, because I have heard of people that are, and you don't necessarily have to have a degree in science either. It's just what they prefer right now. I've heard of people that are like 40, 45, and they were just working their day jobs, and they completed the process of going into a med school, and they got in, and they chose to be doctors after their 40th birthday, or they could be engineers. I've heard of a couple engineers that did that.
Do you know how much the Canada visa is fee?
Yes, so if it's a student visa, which it would be, it's $195. If it's restoring your status, which means you already had a visa and you want to extend your visa, it's $100, which is what I did.
What happens if you failed Canada medical exam?
You can't get it. You have to get a very high score in that exam before you can go in and apply. And you getting a high score in that exam doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get into a med school either.
Which course is the best in Canada for medical?
Biomedical sciences, biochemistry, those are the best things to go into, which is why I am going into them as well.
Which documents are required for Canada medical?
It's your AMCAT results, it's your interview, it's an essay of why you want to pursue medicine. This changes from university to university, but it's usually great, like 5-6 page essay, why you want to pursue medicine, why you think you'd be a great doctor. Like the question can change, but it's usually around there somewhere. And that's about it. It's the storyline that you have that's the most important, you know. Why do you want to study medicine? They have to believe in that, you know.
Which medical degree is accepted in Canada?
From Turkey?
No, in Canada. Which medical degree is accepted in Canada? As I said before, I googled on internet MBBS degree or other degree is accepted in Canada. Is it true?
I don't exactly know MBBS, so I'm just going to check it out. Yeah, Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery. Yes. Yeah, it is. It's just if you're accredited, so if you studied medicine elsewhere, you can go on a website that Canadian government has, and they have a list of universities that are accepting medical diplomas from Turkey, for example. Like I know that Dokuz Eylül University is in there, Istanbul University is in there, Hacettepe University. Some universities are in there. It's just you would have to complete a medical exam test in English, and you would have to show proof of your English with that can be IELTS test, that can be the Cambridge University test, some kind of an English test. And you would also have to complete the process of immigrating to Canada, and you have to have a job offer. That's another one.
Just a second, survey is coming. I accept him. Now we can continue. Do you know which doctor is needed in Canada? Do you have any?
I just had an encounter with doctors like last week. Any kind of doctors needed, in my opinion. It's very like nurses are getting registered, which means they're getting a little more training and they almost act like doctors, you know, that they need doctors very much. I can confirm that for sure. And not just doctors, but they need medical workers in general. This can be like some entrepreneur coming to Canada and opening an ultrasound clinic or stuff like that, because their hospitals are used only for emergencies. So even if you can do that, it would be, you know, perfect. Like for example, I have to get an ultrasound for something I do, and I was able to book like 3 weeks later. Or my pediatrician appointment is in 3 months because there's no in 3 months, yeah. Because there's no appointments available.
It's not in Turkey, like it isn't like Turkey.
No, because there's so many doctors in Turkey.
Yeah, so many doctors. Yeah. How much is the salary of a doctor in Canada?
Um,
They earn more money than us.
they earn so much money, yes. They do pay a lot of money to get there too, so
Yeah.
that's in consideration. I think it's around $200,000 per year.
Yeah.
Um,
But it depends on your specialty.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's around $280,000. But if you're specializing, it's up to 400,000, 450,000. For example, internal medicine, internal surgery,
Yeah.
obstetrics, gynecology, they make around $500,000, which is um if you it's around $40,000 per month. It is a lot of money.
If anyone wants to ask some question to Mete, you are available.
Yeah.
How many hours do doctors work in Canada?
Usually it's 8 to 5. It's usually a 9 to 5, and then after that it's usually closed. Um, if it's a hospital, of course, it's a different story. It's open 24/7. They would always reconstruct it in a way that like a doctor doesn't work more than 9, 10 hours at a time. Usually that's how they do it. Yeah, it's usually 40 hours, 45 hours per week. So
Murat Yıldız asked a question in Turkish. Did you read it?
yeah, would you like me to answer it in Turkish?
You can read it in chat.
Okay. Ben sonradan girdim toplantıya. Kendisi Türkiye'den mi Kanada'ya gitmiş yoksa orada mı doğmuş? Do you want me to answer in Turkish?
Yeah, in English, please.
In English, okay. I was born in Turkey and I came to Canada about 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. So yeah, I was born in Turkey.
Yeah, you live with Canadian family.
Yes, I live with a Canadian family. Right. Yeah.
Do you like or enjoy being there?
Being in Canada? Yes.
Canada, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I enjoy it very much. So my point is your freedom, and freedom in so many ways. This can be expressing yourself. This can be knowing that you're not higher up than anyone. If you're in your high school, for example, you know that you can argue with your principal, or you know that you can argue with your teachers, or you know that you don't have to say yes to something that is going on. You always have the right to protest about something. Like it's things like these that make it very good on a day-to-day basis. It's the ability to choose what you're doing. So for example, in high school, there's 8 classes per year and 4 classes per semester. And you pick those classes accordingly to what you want to do. If you want to study medicine, then you pick biology and chemistry. If you want to study law, then you will pick international law. If you want to study world issues, then you would pick world issues. And also, I really like the range of courses that they offer. Like, for example, last semester I took a course that was called Genocides and Crimes Against Humanity, where they teach you about genocides, teach you about crimes that happened before, or they teach you about the own things that Canada did, like to Indigenous peoples. They teach about all that, and it's very making you aware. It's very, very open your eye in every way possible.
My last question. Is it better to be a doctor in the US or Canada?
It depends. Like it depends where you are in US. Like you can be if you're in California or if you're in Los Angeles or somewhere, of course it's gonna pay more. It's gonna be a better environment. But in my opinion, overall, Canada has a crime rate that is less than US. It does have gun laws. It doesn't have the conservative versus Democrat clash as much as US. You know, people are more non-politicized. US is very politicized, especially right now. Well, maybe it's because they're election year, but it's very politicized right now. Like everything that's going on, you can be doing anything and they will ask you, do you support Biden or Trump? You know, because I live in the US border and my host family, my host mom works in US. So I would prefer it here. She works in Detroit, which is right next to me. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay. Thank you for everything, Mete.
Hı hı.
Evet. Burada bitiriyoruz arkadaşlar. Gelecek videolarımızda görüşmek üzere. See you next time.
See you.